morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, well, I'm going to be honest with you, right? This is big. It says it on the screen, it says it on the thumbnail. I mean this sincerely. I have a tendency to be a very, enthusiastic fellow. I like this game quite a lot, but I like to try and be honest where I can. I like to try and not say things are really big and really important unless they are really big and really important. And let's be clear, this is really big and really important. We are getting a card now. It has been translated by the lovely Antoine Boulet, one of our very favourites here, and it's called Boss's Orders Giovanni. We'll dig into that in a minute. And let's not bury the lead, it's Lysander. It is literally Lysander. The card reads, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon. It is a reprint of Lysander. And if any of you were playing when Lysander was around, you will have noticed that the only thing that stopped Lysander seeing play was Guzman. In the expanded format at the moment, the choice really is Lysander or Guzman, and to be fair, Lysander basically rotated as Guzman came out. They kind of tagged in like a relay race, but in expanded, the choice is Lysander or Guzman. So we've got a card that saw a huge amount of play when it was legal, that still sees a huge amount of play in expanded, that we have not had a better replacement for since. Make no mistake about it, this is going to become a staple in basically every deck as soon as it's released. I told you that there was going to be a new Gusting card coming. This is the new Gusting card. But there's more to it than just that. Now, we'll get down into the breakdown and analysis of exactly why it's going to see so much play in a minute, but we need to go back to the name. This isn't called Boss's Orders. It's called Boss's Orders Giovanni. And that, I mean, we've only really had one parallel for that so far, and it was in Sword and Shield when we got Professor's Research, Professor Magnolia. Which means it is the second example of what Pokemon are doing nowadays, where they take essentially a staple card, and they print it with a particular character, leaving the door open to print it with new characters in the future. So Professor's Research is identical to Professor Sycamore and identical to Professor Juniper. So Juniper came first, discard your hand, draw 7 cards. Then Sycamore was released, discard your hand, draw 7 cards. But they made a big point of saying, well, hang on a second, if you're in the expanded format, you cannot play Sycamore and Juniper together, it's one or the other. And then they printed Professor's Research Magnolia and said, right, well, it's still discard your hand, draw 7. You cannot play it with Juniper or Sycamore, because playing like 8 or 12 of them in one deck would be a bit silly. But also, from now on, when we print these cards, we're just going to call them Professor's Research with the name of the character. That's got to be what they're doing here. There is no other reason to call it Boss's Orders Giovanni. They could just call it Giovanni or Boss's Orders or something along those lines. Make no mistake about it, this is pretty gosh darned big. It means we're going to be seeing this again in the future. Does it mean we are always going to have this card legal in the standard format? No. Maybe, but probably not. But they are leaving the door open. They gave us Lysander back in X and Y. They pretty much immediately replaced it with Guzman. Guzman went and rotated out in August time. We're going to be getting this in May. So the better part of a year without one of these. But now we're getting a new one that leaves the door open to get it again and again and again in the future. And the reason this is so good, to be very blunt, is we don't have better options. Essentially, when it comes to Gusting at the moment, now, I know there are some really specific ones like Ninetales, which is just for fire decks, and I know we did get that new, or we're getting the new Appleton, which will actually be in our same set in May, that lets you flip a coin and gust a basic Pokemon on a heads. But their Pokemon, they take up bench space, they take up more spots in the deck, their abilities, they're not the same, okay? When we're looking at Trainer Card Gusting, at the moment our choices are Custom Catcher, Great Catcher, and Pokemon Catcher. And all of them are fine, and everyone's playing some combination of them in their deck, unless they're playing something like Ninetales. I suppose I should also add, we do have Venusaur and Snivy. If it's in the active, you can attach a grass energy to it and then just gust anything up. I mentioned it in a video the other day, but let me be clear, I've done some digging and I can confirm that something like Aurora Energy, which is only a grass energy when attached, does activate Venusaur and Snivy's ability. There we go. This is better than what we've got. Custom Catcher is great, you can gust anything, but you've got to play 2 at the same time. Firstly, that means 2 gustings per game rather than 4. And secondly, it means you've got to get both of them in your hand at the same time. You can do fun things like play Green's Exploration to search out 2 Custom Catcher and then gust anything, but you're basically playing your supporter for the turn to gust while also taking up 4 extra spaces in your deck for Custom Catcher. It's not really what we're looking for. We've got Pokemon Catcher, which was reprinted in Sword and Shield, which is any gusting, but it's on a coin flip. And here's the thing. Pokemon Catcher was legal when Lysander was legal. How much play did it see? There we go. To be fair, Pokemon Reversal did see quite a lot of play back in the Heart Gold Soul Silver On format, but only because we had nothing better. Nobody wanted to play Pokemon Reversal, exactly as Pokemon Catcher is now, gust anything on a coin flip. But the fact of the matter is, we had nothing better, so we played it. As for Great Catcher, it's great. You got to discard 2 cards from your hand, which is a bit of a pain. But the biggest issue here is you can only gust up an EX or GX Pokemon. And the problem is we stopped printing GX Pokemon and started printing Pokemon V and Pokemon V Max. So if we look at some of the best decks at the moment, this is great if you want to gust up Pikachu and Zekrom. It's great if you want to gust up Mewtwo and Mew. It's great if you want to gust up Reshiram and Charizard. But if you want to gust up something like Zacian V, yeah, you're not doing it. You can't. None of the options we have at the moment are good. What we really want is a card where it is 1 card and we play it and we gust anything. We don't have that. We have 1 card gust anything on a coin flip, 2 cards gust anything, or 1 card gust some things. We want 1 card that you play on its own and you can gust anything. That's what this is. That's why this is so good. That's why Lysander was so good. That's why Guzman was so good. The only downside here is that it's a supporter card and you only get to play 1 supporter card during your turn. But you know what? Didn't matter when we had Lysander. Didn't matter when we had Guzman. Don't see why it would really matter now. If you're that worried, use one of the many options we've got for Pokemon Draw. Play Zeb Striker, play Pidgeotto, play Chinchino. All of these are really good Stage 1 Pokemon that can be put into any deck that will allow you to draw extra cards. So go for it. Play one of those, draw a bunch of cards and use this as your supporter for the turn. It is phenomenal. No, we don't have Versus Seeker anymore, and that's really sad to try and recover it. But you know what? We've still got Palpad, so you can use this multiple times during the game. We've still got Pokegear to try and search it out in the early game, or the mid or late game to be fair. So we can still find it with Pokegear, we can still reuse it with Palpad, and Gusting is back. Properly back. We're all playing Gusting at the moment. Just none of it's good. Nobody likes losing a coin flip and then losing a game with Pokemon Catcher. Nobody likes losing a game because they could only draw into 1 of their Custom Catcher. It's not fun. What I like about these cards is that they are to some degree skillful. Yes, I know you can just play 4 of them and some people will draw into them randomly. I get it. But also, you can build your deck so you can play a supporter when it's ready. You can build your deck to find your supporters more easily. You're not losing because you flipped tails and your opponent flipped heads. And I played so many tournaments in Heart Gold Soul Silver On, and I won a bunch of them because I flipped heads on Pokemon Reversal, and I lost a bunch of them because I flipped tails on Pokemon Reversal. It wasn't fun. And at least we're not back in the format where it was Pokemon Catcher pre-rotation, where we also had Junk Arm. That was basically, well, it was exactly this on an item card. And that format was weird because you always had Gusting. There was no, oh, I lost. No, you had the card. You didn't not draw into it. You had the card. It was a weird format. But the fact of the matter is, this is a big deal. It's a big deal because we've got guaranteed one-card Gust anything back, and it's a big deal because the way they've named it seems to suggest that this is not the last one of these we're ever going to get. It seems to suggest that this card, like Professor's Research, is going to keep coming round again and again and again. I mean, this is a no-brainer 5 WOSI card. It's going to become a staple in basically every deck. It's going to completely transform the format. This is one of the most important cards we are going to get in the entire Sword and Shield block, and no, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that. The two most important trainer cards are always Draw and Gusting. And this is probably going to be the best Gusting we get in the block. This is huge, I mean that very sincerely. But I'd like to know what you think about this. Do you like the options we've got at the moment? Do you like having one supporter that guarantees Gusting? Or do you think it's just retreading old ideas and you're not fond of them? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WasiPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.